It's in Portland, Oregon, yes.
Sounds like you should be able to buy a hat and a cane.
I know, there's all, I mean, if you go through the list of all kinds of creative I mean, there's no end to the creativity you will hear and see.
Did he answer all your question with that?
Yes, and that, the other question I have, a couple of questions here,
Yeah.
is the delivery service that you're going to, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, please, I'm sorry.
It's, if you do use the delivery service, how do you verify also the age of the person making the delivery?
That's, well, so similar to the employees, all employees would be 21 years and older, the employees themselves. And then, as you see here, we went kind of through a detailed ID verification process. We will train the employees on there's a tips process that bartenders and bouncers are familiar with in the ability to check IDs, have scanners specifically to indicate whether they are real or whether they are fake. And then they carry a booklet around with them that has like a legal kind of document showing what all state IDs look like. So those will also be brought to verification. So when you do, if you were to do an online order for delivery, you need to enter in your ID information in advance. We then check the IDs versus the information seen. We check it against the booklet. There's double, triple, because obviously we want to do everything by the book.
If I could piggyback on this real quick, because I had a question on this as well. Thank you, Gladys, for coming to this. Does it also work on passports? Like for me, I don't drive. I live in New York City.
So it would do state IDs. I do not. I will have to.
How about New York City? Because we have a New York City ID system.
Right.
That a lot of people use.
Yeah, the IDs, I believe, because it is even the state. As far as I'm understanding, the state IDs still look like a driver's license.
This isn't the state.
This is the city.
This is the New York
So
City.
let me, what I would say to the passport and to the city ID is let me validate whether the machines accept those, or as you're inferring, if there would necessarily be an additional machine that would validate that, that is something that we would have on site. But for the instance that we would be unable to validate, let's go that route for a second, no sale happens.
So like if I showed a legitimate because I think about, I know I'm not the only person who would either have that or a green card, because here you've got all types of ID.
Sure.
Right? We have a lot of diplomats in this community. So a lot of them have drivers, so they themselves may not necessarily have a United States license, and international licenses, driver's licenses look very different. And so my concern would be the ability to ID people. So like if you came to me, I mean, there's no doubting I'm freaking 52 years old. I can show you the gray hair in my hairline if you like. But that sounds to me like no matter what I do, if it doesn't hit with this, I'm not getting anything. So if I want something, and does that mean that if I don't have a state ID that I can't walk into your store and make a purchase either?
Yeah, it has to be a valid state ID. I will confirm about the verification of the New York City ID and the passport valid. That I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah,
I can just speak to currently like a state ID and a license. Those typically do have barcode scanners on the back that you can validate and are listed in the book. I don't want to misspeak, but if in the situations you brought up, we will also validate that, because we also don't want to turn someone down that does have a valid ID. We also don't want to sell something that someone came in with a bogus ID. It's unfortunately a risk we would take of saying, unfortunately, we would have to turn down your business because it's just not worth it. So on the front end, we'll do some work to validate that. So we're happy to resubmit, before you meet next, just validate what would be necessary to validate either a passport, a New York City ID, or out-of-state IDs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure, because one of the things I get concerned with is what we have seen in this community is an upspring of these illegal shops. And it's because there's no legal shops. And so when the legal shops come in, and like let's say your green card isn't sufficient for ID, or your permanent residence ID isn't good enough to get you, then they're just going to go and become customers somewhere else that we would actually like to move out of the community. We would rather have these very well regulated adult retail dispensaries, because y'all are going through all the work.
Correct. And I appreciate that, and we're 100% aligned. And like I said, I would want to just 100% give you the validation of we will do what is necessary, by the law to allow people to, come and become customers, but we will 100% err on the side of caution, and I would unfortunately rather turn down a customer than a bogus chance of taking someone accidentally.
Right.
Please don't show what your city ID looks like.
Okay.
I actually do mine, I just.
No, please. While you guys play show and tell, go ahead, Gladys. More questions?
Yeah.
We're here for questions.
So what I will validate is, if you look on the back of this is Mark State ID,
Yes.
there is actually a scannable barcode on the back,
Okay.
which should scan as a normal ID in our scan system. To your other question about the passports, I'm unaware and want to validate that the system will accept a passport scan.
Yeah, it's got this. But then again, this isn't the latest generation of passports.
Correct, my passport has like they
You got that
slide like a
fancy
credit.
slidey thing?
Yeah, like they have it through the credit card, yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Oh,
IDs, yeah, so the ID scan systems can be done under certain lighting or can be, scanned.
Okay. Alright. Can I ask any other questions in regards to the delivery services? Okay, go ahead, Gladys.
My next question has to do with the safety of your clients. How are you going to ensure the safety of the clients? And also, if you see someone that's physically intoxicated, like in a bar, somebody is past the amount of the right amount, they won't serve them anymore. So how do you handle those situations?
Correct.
What are the guidelines?
I just wanna make sure, I believe you're a part, that's all. David,
So the
you-
thing is that we don't have the best technology.
No,
So
that's
I
okay.
explained to him that it is possible he won't be able to hear us, but I'll try giving the committee a microphone, that might help.
Oh, no, it's okay, I just wanna see if he can hear us, if he wants to answer, otherwise I'll hop in.
He's on mute again,
Oh.
so just tell him to press *6 and then he'll be able to speak. David, if you could hear us, press *6 again.
So I can start answering while he's
Yeah, I
yelling.
can hear you guys. I'm not catching every word. It's pretty hard to hear. But I think we're talking about how to clarify that. How we'll train our staff to make sure we're not serving anyone intoxicated. And so we'll put them through the people that through both our staff take training that bartenders and the township go through. The tip certification, and it's how to recognize intoxication and how to de-escalate the situation, how to check IDs. So it's the standard bar training, tip certification.
Okay.
And then I would also say on top of it, we're going under the guise that we're hiring competent employees, and we'll also defer to their judgment, and we ultimately will reserve the right to refuse someone if we feel that it will be to the detriment of themselves or to people around them.
Can I ask a question that goes along with safety and security?
Please.
I see that your hours are gonna be 10 to 10, basically a nice proper 12-hour day. But I see that your security isn't slated to come on until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Why?
I think we wrote that, I don't know if David wanted to type
It
that.
said one guard will be on shift from 3 p.m. until all employees have left the building.
I think we're gonna actually change that, full time from opening to close, so I just wanted to clarify that one.
Okay, and so would it be there, so it would be there before 10, correct?
Yeah,
Because
like
we-
a start to open the store, and
Right,
then stay till close.
okay.
If I could just follow up with the security guard.
Please.
1 second, maybe just wait until we get the microphones this way. So I'm gonna keep one here so that we can hear him, and then this one will pass around, and if you guys could just speak into the microphone as
sorry.
well.
Absolutely.
And Barbara will give the microphone to whoever is speaking.
Okay, sounds good.
Mark.
Yeah, I'll just follow up with the security guard.
Christine, thank you for all this.
No problem, I thought the room was small enough
Yeah,
that we would
in
all be
terms
able to
of-
hear each other, but.
In terms of the security guard, what kind of training, are you like rent a cop, or, kind of like what kind of training would security guard have?
Yeah, typically we would go to an approved, security company that's put them through training, and then again, having owned and operated stores will validate that we feel they are equipped to handle the situation, gone through the appropriate training. As David said, it's not just about a presence, but also being able to spot and understand people that potentially are going to do harm to themselves or are past the limit, or we don't feel would make our customers or the community feel safe. So aside from just going to a reputable place to hire someone with the current experience and an organization, we additionally will screen them to make sure we feel comfortable having them as part of our representing us.
Yeah, then it's kind of follow up to that too. Security guard and also staff, they need to be trained in some type of de-escalation techniques, because there could be escalation going on.
Correct. So yeah, so very much. There's a couple of questions around that. I think this we've mentioned this TIPS training, and I apologize to define the acronym. So this is something very common done in bars where they train their staff and the bouncers and security in a de-escalation process, because unfortunately we know these things can happen. Even just in walking into the Gap, you could get angry over whatever it is. And again, the whole intent here is for everyone, staff and potential customers, to feel comfortable in the store. We want, and in the community, we don't want to be seen as, hey, that store is causing this. So everyone will be not just the security guard, but we will make sure the staff has a full understanding, what that looks like, how to spot it, and if they don't feel comfortable, please bring it to the attention of the security, or if we need to take it a step further.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Mark, if you just look into it online just real quickly, you can see that it's the kind of thing where if you look at it online, you can see that this has been around since I was probably 8 years old. This has been around since 1979. There's a way to verify if a person does or does not have their certificate. So this does seem like it's something that's been around for quite some time. It has probably had to evolve with the time. So if we want to learn more about that, we could try. Also with security, no armed guards.
No,
Why no armed?
First, there's insurance, and there is absolutely no one's life is worth whatever it is, and so that is how we have always operated, will continue to operate. There's just no need. Aside from that, I think if I were to walk into a store and saw someone with a gun in the store that wasn't a police officer, it's very unsettling. So that is not our philosophy, and no one's life is worth an errant accident. So to us, there's insurance, let them deal with it.
Okay. And then the security cameras, how many days are you storing?
That is a great question. I do not know if I have the length. There are just as part of to get your final license, the state comes in before you even open, and they have requirements. The Office of Cannabis Management requires you to have security cameras throughout the stores. There's I forget the exact minimum number and exact placements, which they will come in and verify before you can even open. I will confirm the length of time that we retain the data. Is there something, just curious, from the community? Is there a requirement? And because we also want to make sure that if there's things within the community that we should know about, that we abide by those rules also.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
We just wanted to kind of get an idea.
Yeah, I'll do that as my second takeaway on top of the passport, just a validation of how long we're retaining the information.
Okay. Gladys?
Hi guys, I believe the question was how many days of footage does the recording system hold on security cameras?
Correct.
So it will hold at least, we will always have at least 60 days of previous footage. Sometimes it can go up to, I'm sorry, what was that?
Was that 60 days? 60?
Okay.
Thank you.
Wow. All right, thank you for that. So we talked about the ages of the people that would be working on site. We talked about how you're gonna be entertaining. You said you're gonna be having two people doing delivery, is that right?
We don't have an exact number of delivery. What we like is a minimum. The two, what we like is there to be someone to accompany the driver. Again, also we feel for additional validation. There's no trust and verify, continue to trust and verify. Again, everything we do in this highly regulated business, we want to do above the letter of the law, so there's no question.
So the driver always goes with, sort of.
Yeah, we would love to have a secondary person, not as a security, so not just as a second person to just be there.
So with the delivery people, is people that you hire yourselves, or are you using like Uber Eats, that kind of delivery service, or someone that you provide yourself?
David, can you hear that one?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
For your delivery service, the employees that you hire for delivery, is this something that belongs to your store, or are you using delivery services like Uber Eats or Grubhub or Instacart?
No, the delivery people will be, W-2 employees for the store.
And their ages will be from, you know,
I think they limit it to 21 now.
21 and up.
21 and over.
Okay. Okay. So we talked about security. I guess one of the questions that we asked that wasn't answered on our forum is, why did you choose our community to open your business? Why Forest Hills?
Well, I grew up here. I grew up in Woodhaven. I skated the neighborhood. I went to MS 210. I have a property in Kew Gardens. I grew up here. I've been here my whole life, so there's no better community that I know treat us good and make us feel safe.
And if y'all have questions, you can raise your, this isn't the Gladys Heather show. So if y'all have questions, we'll pass it right along.
I know I just walked in 30 minutes late.
No, it's okay. I think what happened tonight, y'all, that everybody made it look like it was a surprise party, but there's just no damn cake. So basically what happened was, our meeting was at 6:30, but I think we've all kind of gotten it, and we're so used to that 7 o'clock. So it's fine.
Okay.
We understand, we're just glad you all made it. If you repeat questions, that's okay, it's helping these guys rehearse.
No, it's the same question. Oh, I'm back.
Thank you.
No,
I'll pass it down to y'all.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you, Barbara.
It's the same question that she just asked, but if there is an economical answer, I'd like that one too. Aside from, we live here, this is our community, this is a great, like, da-da-da-da, the economical answer from a business perspective.
So are you saying how
Why
we're
this
good?
community?
Why this community?
Yeah.
So aside from just the personal connection for Michael, I mean, it is a very beautiful, safe, wonderful community to walk around. There's a lot of great restaurants, bars, stores. It's a very vibrant community. And so we see a lot of very successful, thriving businesses. And obviously, when you see people out on the street having a great time, enjoying themselves, the ability to be able to contribute to that great establishment you guys have done throughout this community is something we absolutely like to be a part of. And obviously, if you see a thriving community where you do see successful businesses, you don't see a lot of empty stores, that typically is a good sign of a really strong community, and it's something we love to be a part of.
I have count on you, and then I'll talk to Marcus. So Heather,
Well, wait, I think, David, you have something to add?
Yeah, I'll just add that, we really, took a solid look at the demographics of the neighborhood and like it. And also, because of the setback requirements from schools, places of worship and other dispensaries, just from a pure economic standpoint, because of how the area over there by Austin Street is set up, there will be, a limited number of dispensaries due to the setback requirements. So there will be, not a ton of competition as opposed to other areas of the city where there, might be every 1,000 feet of dispensary.
And just, if you wanna just tell the people that came in late who David is.
David is one of their partners. They have 3 partners. David splits his time between Colorado and Milwaukee. I don't know what baseball team he roots for, but they're probably not in the playoffs right now.
Dave and I grew up in Milwaukee.
Okay.
Yes, and so I went this way, he went that way.
Got it. And so they're all partners. Kew Gardens, he is currently in Chappaqua. So I got myself, Gladys, and then Martha. My question to you is, given your location and given you said that when you brought up the streets were so lively, do you have plans to staff up on concert nights? Because we get crowds, we get great crowds. Like there's a wonderful video circulated online. Dancing their booties off in the train station at like 10 o'clock at night. It's probably the most action that train station has seen in a long time. But what's your plan? Because you could get a lot of customers, just like folks go to the bar before their concert. So I'm wondering what your plan would be.
Yeah, good question. So planning to design the store where we can have 6 point of sales. When it's not busy, we won't have it all open, but, at peak times such as concerts and stuff, we will be able to have the 6 point of sales open. We'll also have a system where people can order online, so they can pre-order, which cuts the processing time with customers in the store down to, 2 minutes. And so if they're pre-ordering, we can have someone in the back of the house putting the order together and get someone in and out of the store very quickly, so that we can move through change people quickly. Thank you.
Okay, I heard the last part you said about the pre-order, which was like tight, but what was the first part you
6
said?
points of sale they could have at a busy time, and then they don't need to use them all when it's not as busy,
So
correct?
they're only selling 6 items then? It's sort of like.
No,
a
6 like registers.
6 registers.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, okay.
6
It's registers.
The POS systems, it's probably.
Like they'll be able to handle 6
Some
sales
will be
at
floating.
once?
Yes.
Okay,
Some will be floating.
wow, that's amazing, okay, glad.
So one of the reasons
It
that
will
you,
staff appropriately.
And they'll staff appropriately. 6 registered McDonald's. They might.
Was surprised with that?
Sorry, okay, go ahead.
it's a follow-up to why you chose the community, so you're saying because you live here, it's a private community, thriving business, you also mentioned the demographics, so what about the demographics attracted you from the community?
David, did you hear that one?
No, I heard,
Oh.
I'm sorry,
You
our
were-
partner David's on the phone, so he was, I don't know if he was gonna answer that.
David, did you hear that one?
I did, yeah, but, because I was looking at the, age range and income level, so it's just a good fit for our business model. And then for, the good fit.
Okay, so age, income
Age
level.
and income.
Yeah, well, that's right. Martha, you're up.
Hi,
Ari,
Ari, nice meeting you.
nice to meet you.
I understand, I came a little late, however, I did research. How many businesses have you had? How many businesses do you currently own?
So we currently own 6 retail stores in Portland, Oregon, and we've done this under the name Floyd's Fine Cannabis. And then prior to that, there were dispensaries in Colorado.
Okay, you discussed about tips, how it's the industry standard. I used to be part owner of a restaurant, and, my partner at that time, tips is not really used.
Interesting.
It's a thing, but it's not enforced. My thing is, we are surrounded with many schools, many middle schoolers. It's very, very easy to get somebody to purchase a product, bring it outside, swap cash, and
Martha, if you could just hold a little bit closer, because we can only
Okay.
hear, but the
I
recording
don't
and the
know,
WebEx.
and that's my concern.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I've actually walked behind middle schoolers bragging that, I only gotta pay this guy like $20 and he got our stuff. And then he's opening the edibles and sharing it while they're walking. And I'm just walking to the bus stop.
Sure.
This is a huge issue because parents have no way of stopping this. Parents have no way of tracking this. You try to do due diligence, but there are so many loopholes. And when these concerts come out, let me tell you, I go to the concerts. A guy was making a killing selling 3 balloons full of women in front of First Community Bank for $25. And the girls, guys, giving them cash, taking it and doing what they had to do. And the whole floor strewn with, it was just with balloons. And he, at one point, a couple of points, he's exhaling in there, he's exhaling whatever he had in his mouth to them. I have pictures.
Okay, but did you turn this into the 112?
No, I
Okay.
do have the pictures.
No, I'm
but-
just asking.
No, I did not.
Okay.
But and the reason why I didn't
Mm-hmm.
was because the 112 was there. So I was kind of embarrassed.
Got it, understood. I guess so the question becomes, I guess she's questioning the reliability of the tip system.
Okay.
Martha, were you here when he sort of explained how the delivery works, how it's 2 people, not 1 person,
Yes,
how
yes.
there is, and do you still feel that is vulnerable?
I think the most vulnerable aspect of this, yes, because you can have another person signing off, picking it up, and then they're still distributing it to the kids.
Well,
That's the problem.
can I just ask a question though? I got a big mouth.
I can hear you.
I do.
Get that microphone.
When my aunts and uncles used to be in the waiting room at the hospital, they would tell them to quiet down, and they were really just talking to one another. So I'm wondering, let's say you do. Let's say that grandma goes ahead and places an order. Clearly looks like grandma. Clearly she tracks because her driver's license, that she's not driving with anymore, comes up, and then she turns around and gives that product to grandson, because grandson is grandma, it's harmless, it's gummies, they look like teddy bears, it's fine. And grandma's like, oh, okay, which can happen. Are you liable if that happens? I'm asking what your understanding is of being
my understanding is we are not, but I think it would be helpful to take even a step. First of all, that's horrible. So I actually want to take a step back, because I think something would be really helpful. So part of coming to the community and cannabis forever until it becomes legal, and still even as legal, has a little bit of a perception. So a lot of what we've done in the communities we've been in, and part of the Office of Cannabis Management's process, is to create an education process, an understanding of what cannabis is, the effects it has, no different than alcohol campaigns. So that's one. Two, I don't want underage children using the products, but I think it's really important that if someone is making the purchase of the product that is legal, they are doing it from a legal shop. Because what we are seeing on a global scale is very dangerous at illegal shops, where people are making purchases even if they are of age, and they are buying products that carry fentanyl. And these lead to significant dangers in the community. And so this is an education process from the top down about what the product is, what it can do to people. So that's just starting on just an education of cannabis as a whole. To kind of speak a little bit to your point of kind of the validation and verification, we will go through all of the legal processes to ensure the person that is actually making the purchase, whether it be at the store or whether we are physically handing it over to someone, is of legal age. A week later, if someone has taken the product or the grandma decides to sell it, I don't, unfortunately, I would love to tell you I can control those things. That's something that no store owner can sit here in good conscience and tell you, I can control what happens. I will do everything we can within the legal laws to ensure if we are making a sale to someone, it is to someone who is a valid, of age person that would be able to make that purchase.
And so it kind of reminds me, and we're gonna go to Marcel next, but I just wanna quickly note to you, I can do the big mouth here. It just takes me back to like the days when I was in high school and you'd go to the homecoming bonfire. It used to be on Fridays, now it's on Thursday. Why? Because their parents are now, they know what's up. So they used to, buy the alcohol, their friends, the older brothers and sisters, and then give it to the other kids. And the next thing you know, your friend's trying to walk into a bonfire because they're so inebriated. So that's what this sounds like. But I think, Martha, to your concern, I think the concern needs to be with the public being responsible with the management of this once it comes into their household. Because we have the same problem with older family members who are on a variety of pain medication for one ailment or another, especially if you've got like arthritis of any sort, which on the other side of 50, everyone does. And then you've got somebody rating you've got a grandkid who's, slipping one, slipping two, slipping dad's Adderall. And I think this is where our health, mental health, and maybe substance abuse committee can kind of maybe figure out ways to partner, with our hospitals here, and so on, to do better outreach and better programs. It's a legitimate concern, just like it was a legitimate concern, and we all laugh about it, but, we also know kids that got into trouble, that were drinking and got behind, at least where I went to high school, got behind the wheel and then drove into a ditch. And so I think that we just need to be, thinking about how we reach out to the community to be more responsible, with these products. And I think to his point, I think there is a point to be taken, in regards to control the product, because the state does seem to have, and we've gotten inundated with a lot of cannabis information, but my understanding is, after Marcel's question, you can maybe talk a little bit about your growers and your products and how your quality control and keep the nefarious things from happening to your product, but just hold that question, because she's been waiting.
Well, it's part of it, so thank you for that response, but I think the middle ground between the Martha's concern and your response about the things you cannot control, which you cannot control, but there is a CSR perspective that your business can bring, right? A corporate social responsibility or even a consumer social responsibility that you can bring, and I'd be interested in knowing, because we all know why you want to be here, why it's good for you to be here. We also would like to know what you intend to contribute to the community in being here, and you hear that there is a huge concern that may be out of your control, but as a business owner, there are things that you can contribute to the community to help mitigate some of those things, and we'd just like to know if there was some thought put into that, question one. And question two, as it relates to some of your product, are there any organic or really clean, non-chemical based type of products that you plan to incorporate in your inventory?
Yes, so thank you for asking. And I would, as you were mentioning about the community awareness, so that's something we've done in other communities to be able to participate, and we would be happy if we were so lucky to become a part of this community to partner with you in creating education awareness and help get the message out to understand what the product is, what the product does, who should not, and then in addition, helping to educate people of where are safe spaces to be able to purchase products also. Not towards children, of course, but just towards general consumers, and that's something if we were lucky to become a part of this community, we would be willing to partner with you in creating an education and awareness campaign, so the community is very comfortable and has a full understanding. Obviously that's, at the minimum, what we would be able to help contribute to the community from that perspective. Obviously there are other things we'd love to be a part of the community to help contribute to as a potential member of this community. So that's just one. David, can you hear this? There was a second question asking about the control of the products from the growers and potentially organic products. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, so the product is all lab tested, so the state regulates the lab, so the product is lab tested. There's expiration dates on the product. All the edibles and other products are shelf stable, so they're checking for moisture tested and all sorts of different testing to make sure that it's shelf stable to the expiration date that's put on it. And then it's all under camera at all times except for transport, and logged into the state tracking system so that you can see where every gram and every edible concentrate is at all times when it comes to the other point back, both for cases of recall, and just kind of a very clean chain of custody.
Okay, so are all of your products grown and made in New York?
New York, that is a requirement currently, which I love. The state is requiring products to only be purchased from farmers in New York or growers in New York, which is a really wonderful thing.
Do you know where in New York yours are gonna be grown? Have you secured?
David, I don't know if you heard that one about securing the grower in New York already as a partner.
Yeah, I think the question was where in New York will be produced? A lot of the outdoor cultivation is, up in the northern part of the state. And then a lot of the manufacturing is really spread around the state, so manufacturing edibles and concentrate is spread around the state. I heard the question. I apologize, really hard to hear.
Do you know where specifically?
Questions and conversations, so I apologize.
Do you know where specifically upstate? Cause, you know, upstate's a big place.
I think there's some stuff outside of Syracuse, and we can get you the.
Okay, so it's literally North Country then?
Yeah, oh no, yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's not like upstate,
Not
could be.
like, I live in Westchester, some people call that upstate, we mean like upstate New York.
Yeah, like north of Syracuse area.
Okay, so true North Country, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, that's helpful, and then, this is gonna sound really whack, but this is kind of the country girl in me, are these being grown organically, what are we using as far as fertilizer and things of that nature?
David,
I know, getting the weeds away.
There's multiple cultivators. Some of the cultivation is done organically, some of it is not. So the ingredients of what was used will be on the product, so people will be able to see all the different ingredients and fertilizers, et cetera, that were used to grow the product. But it will not all be organic. Some will.
And genetic modifications? Genetically modified, do you have any seeding that is genetically modified?
I'm sorry, I did not hear that.
Do you have any seeds that have been genetically modified? That seeding makes, the reason I ask is because that seeding makes it more resistant to certain things, which also then can make it problematic to how the body processes it. So it's just not as good of a process as if you were organic.
I do not believe that there's genetically modified cannabis being grown in New York at this time. That may be something that's in the marketplace at a later date, but I don't believe there's any in the market at this time.
Yes.
Yes, you can verify that.
Yeah, I have a wife who is deathly allergic, has food allergies, I have a nephew who's gluten-free, so I'm well.
So you can come back to us with.
Absolutely, I will put that on, and just to be, maybe just so everyone on the community board understands, we are not physically growing it, but we will partner with the growers, but we will validate any of that stuff, absolutely. I will look at the GMO, and as we did mention, there will be some organic, some non, but we'll check on the GMO also.
To my folks on the left, y'all been pretty quiet over there. You have questions? Okay, I'm gonna do LT, cause she hasn't gotten one yet. Mark, you have a second. Okay.
You guys have,
Just 1 second, wait for the microphone, sorry.
you guys haven't set product range yet, or is that something that's going to be fluid?
We don't have like the exact product name, but we have kind of categories, and I think we listed them in here of what we would like to carry, which are edibles and flour and tinctures and concentrates, and I think we did. David, do we have a list already?
I meant more in terms of suppliers or in specific products.
Yes. David, they asked about a list of current suppliers and the actual products that we're carrying, the brands.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
The question was, if we have defined our specific suppliers and the brands that we will be carrying.
I did not hear you.
Have you defined?
So the answer is,
She's not gonna hear you.
there are.
Have you defined your suppliers and the products that you're gonna carry?
Specific brands.
Specific brands that you'll be carrying. Was that better?
Yeah, thank you very much. So, there's a pretty limited product mix available in the market right now, and we're gonna issue more licenses and more people, enter the market. The companies that are producing more products, we will take a look at the product, and we use analytics, the CB6 analytics system that can that's how we'll, start the product then.
I guess I'm gonna take it back, as one of the questions we have already for all. Why this business? Jeff, why did you go into this business? It's a complicated business, so, like, you could have done other types of businesses.
So I feel like we're playing telephone tag. It's
David,
like,
did you hear that question?
I did not.
They would like to know why you chose the cannabis business. Why did you go into this business?
Yeah, good question. You know, a couple of reasons. One is, it's not often in your lifetime you find yourself at the ground floor of an industry with this much potential. Also, to be honest, it's, you know, in a lot of industries that are starting out, there's big corporations that come in and really control it. And so, with the federal illegality of the cannabis industry, it allows smaller operators to get in and not get kind of driven out by large corporations, alcohol, pharma, tobacco. And so it was, you know, just finding an industry with this much potential that made sense to enter. And then really just the benefits that I've seen for so many people. My grandma's 89 years old and was taking Ambien and all sorts of painkillers, and now she takes an edible before going to bed. And so got off a ton of different medications that were, you know, definitely affecting her health and had all sorts of side effects. And so, I mean, I've got countless stories of people that have walked into our dispensaries with a bag full of pill bottles, and, you know, they used to take deep, dirty pills, and now I take, you know, I use cannabis to take free pills. So I've just really seen it benefit people.
What about you two?
So I with David had similar to me. Share the grandma. We have we're family and our first cousin. So we so for that also for the medical and honestly there's obviously an economics to it. As David said, being a small business owner is extremely beneficial, as opposed in some cases it can be. But it is nice, and to be honest, at the end of the day, you're doing something where you're helping people and you make money. I mean, I don't think I've been in a position where someone came back and was like, I was really unhappy. Most people leave the store and they're like, you know what, this was wonderful. Thank you very much. And you build a rapport. I happen to love people, and if you can do two things in your life, make people happy and make money, that's not a bad place to be.
Well, you know, growing up here, you know, you have that stigma of cannabis use. So for me, it's really, you know, I've been affected by it too, you know, growing up. So for me, it's pretty cool to be able to, you know, change how it's looked and you know, at the same time make a living off of it.
Is it going into the store, anybody, is there limitations on how much you can buy?
There actually are limitations. David, do you happen to recall the limitations to purchase at one time? And we're gonna do the telephone now.
David, can you hear?
There are limitations, and we will in part of the follow-up, you can't just walk in and be like, I will take the right side of the shelf. There are a certain amount that you can purchase at one particular time, and I will get the number for you.
And also, one person coming in like 3 to 4 times a day.
True, a little bit of flour a day, in a 24-hour period is the maximum allowed to be purchased in New York, but I'm not 100% sure of that.
Of the flour?
Can you just repeat that, David? I'm sorry.
I believe the limit is 2 ounces, which is 56 grams of dried flour for an individual's purchase. I believe that's the limit, but I'm not 100% sure.
3 grams? 3 grams? Yeah.
2 ounces is 3 grams?
No.
3 ounces. Okay. Thank you.
David, the follow-up question was, is there a limit to?
David, the question was asked if someone seems to want to return multiple times in a day.
Yeah, so is the limit a daily limit or is it per transaction?
It's a daily limit, my understanding.
Daily limit.
And you will have them flag.
The point of sale system, every state's a little different, and so the point of sale system does set, it knows the limit, it sets the limit, and so if you try to bring someone else for over the limit, or if they've been, in the shop more than once, it'll, add up the purchase last time, it will stop a sale, it'll block any sale over the limit.
Okay. Marcel and then Martha.
Okay, this may be a dated question, but
But it could be.
all right, Michael, I urge you to, you may have discussed this already, but I wanna talk a little bit about your brand itself, and since you've been in business since 2010, I would say somewhat of a, trailblazer and have had multiple dispensaries around the world, around the United States. Is there anything unique or special about your brand? And I'll just follow that up by saying, personally as a resident, because there are some restrictions and limitations to how many can be here, what I would imagine would be here would be a business or a brand that's a little bit more innovative and that has considerable thought about how they can contribute to the community, has a variety of products, understanding the demographics and knowing that there are elderly individuals here, there are youth here, there are people that have health. Like, I'd like to know if your brand has thought about how to be unique and different and not just another dime a dozen cannabis dispensary in the city.
Yes, great question.
Take that away from me, somebody.
I don't know if David wants to start or I can hop in. I don't know if you heard.
David, did you hear that question?
I did. I think there's so many different types of products, and different people like different products for different effects or different ailments or different reasons. So one of the things that's important to us is to have products for everyone. So I think we'll definitely carry a very wide variety of products to make sure that we've got something for someone that's looking to come in and get something that maybe helps with sleep or pain or to see a funny movie. So just carrying a really wide variety of products is something that's important to us and a practice that we done. There's really, I think what sets us apart is our community engagement. We're in a community. We do engage with the community. We have partnered up with local police departments and done drives and bought bulletproof vests in support of the police departments in various ways. We do food drives and coat drives in the winter. So really just being a good member of the community and giving back to the communities that we're in.
And one other thing I'll just add to that, I think for everyone that listens is a consumer in some way, shape, or form of stuff. I think you want to go in there and feel comfortable and feel that people are taking care of you and people are listening to you to kind of ask like what's unique. So I think when we talk about the training and education of the staff, it is so customer focused and to spend time. It's not a transaction. It's people do come in, as David mentioned, with ailments, with different needs, with different interests, and to spend time. So there is so much probably out there from when people were in the 50s, 60s, 70s, just smoking grass. The world has evolved, products have changed, so we want everyone to come in and feel they are treated with the respect they deserve, and it's a positive experience, and they come back, and they get what they need for what they need. So I think that's also it. You're not just coming to buy something. So I think when we come in, oh, go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna say that's a really good point, and I think the people that typically work in dispensaries are experts in the product, and our users, more on the heavy side, so they're frequent users. I think people that might maybe try it for the first time or want to be educated on it can be a little intimidated sometimes by going to the store, in the dispensary, and so we really have will, give them the time and the education that they need.
Martha?
Hi, I'm concerned a little about the organized aspect of resale.
I'm sorry, I was.
Organized aspect of resale selling. As we know, maybe people don't know, that it hasn't been until recently, ticket resales are now forced to provide their social security numbers so that they can be taxed on resale. If the amount that we're allowing to sell is enabling a reseller now to make enough to resale it and make a profit without paying taxes like you guys do, has anybody thought about that? Is there any way I don't see the answer as being yes to my question. You can't track it.
No.
And this can be a potential problem, because by these shops now opening, you're putting the neighborhood wheat guy out of business. But he's gonna find a way to come back in. And this is a concern for me. Because it's still gonna be out there, he's not being taxed on it. I mean, but he just wants to gain income. And it's like what's it called again? Where you have like the guy, the pyramid. It's a pyramid. Have you guys thought about that? And second question, I love the fact that you want to give back to the community. Have you considered doing public school announcements in schools, middle schools, and having a day of educating them why this can be harmful?
Yeah. So two good questions. The first one, I have a view. I don't think I have an answer to your point. I again, going back to that, I cannot control, just as if someone went into the Gap, or actually go outside a concert and someone printed a bunch of t-shirts and is selling the t-shirts right next to the vendor who sold the t-shirt. Now, starting at the top, when we talk about kind of the quantities, which you kind of ask like, hey, if I buy one thing, is it worth it for me to resell it? You're talking about the quantities. That is definitely something I would bring up at a state level, that is given the guidelines of what the volumes are to be sold. So again, I think what they have tried to do at the state level is try to minimize it, to not put it in a scenario where it is of value to resell. That's my belief of why the state sets these limits. But to give your answer, I cannot control what anyone does in the privacy of their own home, nor would you probably want people to get that invasive at any level. To your second point, I think is a great question. I would say absolutely we're happy to do so. I would want to do it with kid gloves and 100% the support of the community board and the school board. Because when you start coming in, depending, even though it is a wonderful thing, I don't remember the last time an alcohol company came into my high school or middle school and talked about alcohol for fear of what it may do. However, if the school board would welcome us, we would absolutely 100% be willing to participate in education campaign. I do remember back in the day the Nancy Reagan DARE campaigns, but that was like to scare you straight, but no one was coming in and showing, the products. But we would be welcome that opportunity, if facilitated through you and through the school board approval, absolutely on board, because I do think, to your point, if kids don't know it's bad, or it's not okay for them at this point, they're gonna try it, they're gonna do it, they're gonna grab it out of grandma's cabinet, they don't know their kids. So happy to participate in that, absolutely. And I think the other thing is, we wanna educate that if you are of age, please do it in a safe space, from a safe, approved person that is providing you something that has been legally reviewed and approved. Because what we don't want
is, God forbid, that child or adult or whomever to go into an illegal shop or to buy from someone on the street that has purchased something from someone else that God knows what is in that product and something terrible can happen. So this is absolutely an education from a top down, and we are 100% on board for that, and would happy to take it to the next step if we have the opportunity.
And I think, Martha, in response to your question about the whole resale, I think that's something that needs to sort of like the next time that you're in a presentation, either for a president's office or if they come back to see us, it's something to kind of throw the way of the Office of Cannabis Management by the state for them to think about. This is a policy question. It's a solid one. But I think folks who are doing, in their line of business, you know, they don't set policy. And so I think that it would be something good for the Office of Cannabis Management to explore. Speaking of spaces, two things. Do you have proof of control of your property, the address on 72nd?
David, did you hear that?
I did not.
Okay, do you have proof of control of the property you plan to occupy on 72nd Avenue?
Yes, so, we actually submitted under the current program, which has got a pause, right now, but we submitted, a letter of intent through that program, and we did get proximity protection through the Office of Cannabis Management. We're actually buying the building, so we do have, the contract, we do have a contract for the purchase, and then what we'll be submitting to the state for proof of control is a lease. We've agreed on all the terms of the lease, because we're not moving forward with the purchase of the building until the license is issued. And so we have all the terms of the lease agreed to, and we will have a lease in place within the next week or 10 days.
So do you always buy your buildings for your dispensaries?
We prefer to own the real estate. It gives us a little more flexibility. We do significant tenant improvements on the building, but there are locations that we lease as well, but we prefer to own the real estate.
Okay, and then I guess the other question is, are you going to be, because now that you've bought the space, it makes me ask, and you talked a lot about safe spaces, are you going to be having a space at some point when you can apply, because you can't now, but when you can apply to have people consume on site, are you looking to do that or no?
I hope he says the same thing I do.
Strongly.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna say the same thing I am, so I don't know how
We're all on the same page.
that's not a model we've done at any of our locations. While it's wonderful to hang out with all our friends and do that, there's no, it's not a bar, it's not like you're gonna have a couple of drinks, you sit there, and I think, we view a couple different ways. Full transparency, economically, there's no benefit. It's you come in and you make one purchase and you're there the day. It's not like a bar where you're purchasing other drinks or appetizers. That's one. Two, I think when someone comes in the store, they wanna come in the store and see a fresh, clean store, and they wanna come in and have that experience and leave. And if you see a bunch of people, no matter who they are, what they do, they're lingering around the store, and it's not something we like. Plus, for the odor, that's just not a model we've ever done. And at this point, we do not plan on entertaining.
Okay, so if you're not providing the safe space for people to consume, then how are you providing safety around the neighborhood? Because a lot of people might just purchase in your store and then go outside, and that smell and that prettiness that you want in the store is not going to be outside on the streets. So how do you provide that, not the safe space, but just maintaining the neighborhood, just the way that you want your store to look?
Yeah, absolutely, that's a great question. So part of the security and letting people know is if they are to witness someone in the immediate area, we let them know, this is not, or in an area where there's, bars, restaurants, we encourage them to go elsewhere, preferably in their home. However, again, going back to some of the earlier questions, we can control what we can control if someone is 2 blocks down or in their car, but it is not something that we are condoning or listening. Obviously, if someone are asking, hey, can we do this here? The recommendation is, hey, the safe spaces are typically in your residence, a friend's residence,
And if we do see someone on the street having left our store attempting to consume or smoke something, we would kindly let them know if they would mind refraining. But that then comes down to what the state allows. Again, we will control what we can control in our visibility, and absolutely, because I agree with you, it's not, we don't want people to just wander around, the streets.
Thank you.
Okay, do you plan to sort of introduce yourself to the neighbors?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, great, because you have, you're in an interesting spot, you're like 1 block over. You've got little, huh?
Just a little closer.
Wow, I've never been told I'm kind of quiet. My husband would be floored. So you've got 1 block away, the rules are on the block, which is kind of interesting in the city because sometimes I think these rules were written more for like upstate. But like literally 1 block over, you've got a very active Catholic church, a very active Catholic school. You've got a lot of daycares in the area. And I know, I feel sometimes that these conversations are sort of like what it was like in the Prohibition era to talk about opening up a bar. No, I'm being serious because we're going through a transition with a mindset. So I'm asking myself, are those places that you are planning to have conversations with? Because those are a little more tricky than going next door to like the seafood shop and saying, hi, how you doing? We're, as opposed to going, have this one say, yo, hi, we're here to alleviate the pain in your community.
Yeah,
For lack of a better way of saying it.
absolutely. So the first thing is just for context, the Office of Cannabis Management in every state that has allowed legal cannabis has proximity rules. And this particular location meets all of those proximity location rules. We are 500 feet or more from a school, we are 250 or more feet from a religious facility, and we are 1,000 or more feet from another dispensary. So 1, we are within the approved state limits, but 2, didn't matter what store I would open. I live in my house. I go next door to the neighbors. You introduce yourself. You want them to, welcome you in the community. Hopefully, as I would welcome them. And I think it's important they know who we are and they feel comfortable sharing how they view whatever it might be, positive or negative. Shocker, but people of all religious backgrounds do participate in cannabis. But yes, I think it's critical. And again, the goal for us is really, we would love to become the opportunity to become a part of this community. And being a part of the community doesn't mean you go to the work and then you leave. That means you are a good neighbor, you participate, you support where you can, you volunteer, you do all of the right things to be considered a good neighbor. Again, when things happen, you hope your neighbors are there to help take care of you. I think that's a really important part. And that's also, again, one of the reasons when you look around this community and you don't see vacancies. That's a really great thing.
We had asked if you guys had examples of your signage. One of the main concerns here has been, like when vaping first came out, it was heavily marketed to young people. And as you know, it was disastrous for young people, especially asthmatic young people. And so there is, these very specific rules in New York as to how you can and cannot make things appear within and outside your store. And we don't have those from you. Do you have any, and I know that you've had businesses in Oregon, and I think, have you had businesses in Colorado too? Okay. So, I don't know if their rules are the same, but, is there any way by our meeting on the 8th of November, yeah, folks, our meeting in November is kind of early, that you'd be able to give us some kind of an idea of sort of what that would look like?
And I want to make sure I clarify.
Sure.
You would like to see a visual of like the
Your
brand,
signage.
the brand versus, is it an overhang sign, is it a flat on the
Oh, I don't care about that.
Okay.
I just want to see
Yeah,
sort of your artwork.
Yeah, we will push to have that. You said by November 8th?
Yeah, our meeting is November 8th. It can be samples.
Yeah.
Because, the whole point is to be professional and be appealing, but not to be appealing to a kid who wants to go in there and chew a gum.
So it makes you feel better. We are not huge, someone smoking a joint down the thing. That's not, we like to create a very, again.
You're not inspired by Camel?
Yeah. I'm more of a Marlboro man, but,
Okay.
no, to your point, absolutely, we'd be happy to pull something together, just so you get a context and feel, and again, we're open to feedback. We are not David and I like to joke whether it's a line in the sand or a line in the concrete. We debate which one we actually would say. But so if there is something you would say, as a potential member of this community, we would feel more comfortable. It wasn't some crazy emblazoned thing that would make us feel more comfortable. Please let us know. We again, the intent here is to become a part of the community and a contributing part of the community. And doing so, we would like to start on the right foot with the community.
Appreciate that. Now, one really stupid question. Have y'all been through the fingerprinting process yet?
My advice.
You have.
Yeah.
Will you guys
Yes.
be as well?
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
And Mr. Noble,
David, all of us.
will fly in special?
Special.
Okay, we may have some recommendations on, where to eat in the community this year. We all have places.
I forgot what we went to. I was at one of the restaurants here.
Can we ask her that with the visuals that you provide for the concept store here, if maybe you could also share the visuals of the 6 existing that you have?
Yeah,
that's
Sorry, is it David? I was asking for the visuals of the 6 existing stores to be included with the concept store that you're gonna provide. We can actually go to their website, right, and take a look at pictures? I just wanted to see if they were consistent, if it's a consistent brand aesthetic across the
We
board.
do not, and just for clarification also, and that's a good question, we do not intend to bring Floyd's Fine Cannabis here.
Okay.
We would create a new New York brand. I think, again, while I think Portland is amazing, Portland is not New York.
Alright.
So I think it's very important to have that look and feel and kind of, as you said, innovative, different. The look of the stores here would be a more, let's call it, Apple-looking, clean cut, very welcoming, bright lit, and Oregon is a little more shiplap on the wall. There's just a different vibe. And so, well, we want to be again, and you also don't want to be a sore thumb in the community. We would like to blend in and be a part of what the community look and feel is also. But happy to send that over with the follow-up questions. But I'll also send the link, and I'm happy to give it before we go to the website.
Yeah, I mean, I've not been, but there's one store called Travel Agency in Union Square, and when I've seen it on New York One, it looks like it's a black kind of interior, but it looks clean, just like an Apple store. I mean, it is literally, slick and kind of nice. Yes, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have Mark, and
Needs to be first.
this is gonna be our last call, because we actually have to discuss a recommendation, kind of glad we only had one tonight, thank you Lord, so. Mark and then Alicia, anyone else? Danny hasn't said anything, Kavisha's doing all I can to stay awake. God bless her.
I thought we were fun. I'm sorry, I thought we were fun. That's okay. I'm not hurt.
Listen, no, I'm feeling Kavish right now. Okay, so I wanna make sure y'all don't have questions.
Thank God we didn't have 4 applications.
Okay, so Alicia, then Mark. Alicia first.
Alicia.
Ladies first, my friend.
Thank you. Okay, I listened to everything and I see that this is going to be a huge business for the city. Not only for you guys, but it's gonna bring jobs, okay? Because all the tiers that they listed here, they're gonna need employees, okay? And at the same time, I'm glad that the people that they're gonna smoke, they smoke something that doesn't have any junk in it. Because if you're gonna smoke, you're gonna smoke. And especially because today, the clientele starts at 11, 12 years old. And my friend is a teacher, she just retired because at 8:30 in the morning, all these kids, they come into the class and they're already high.
Oh my God.
And falling asleep.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people will oppose, but people still doing it. Like right now, the police and the park department are doing something that they're not looking at the park. You're not supposed to smoke in the park, regular cigarette. Well, go to the parks every day now since 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and you get high just walking your dog. And nobody's telling this. The park people should tell these people, you're not supposed to smoke that here, but it's all over. Okay, so I don't know how people feel about, but I something that is regulated, and I hope the city continue all those rules and regulations that they impose, that is gonna be better, for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting, just a quick note on that, the only park, that I've ever seen that enforced, and I actually spoke to Jean about this yesterday. Jean Silva's our parks person, she's sassy. And I said to her, it was at the US Open going into Flushing Meadow Park. And the only time you saw it was during the US Open because people were complaining at the US Open. So once the US Open left, I just walked through there on Friday to go watch my kid's soccer game, and there were no more signs or anything, and there was a multitude of signs, and there was many announcements made. So I think this is something that we can bring to our council member, and to say we need some better enforcement in our parks. Because you're right, and the smell is offensive to some people, but that's something that, yeah. So that's something I think we need to take to our council member to say, we need our local precinct to really, because I think the parks employees, I think it's a lot to expect. I think parks employees, you've got some of the best parks people down by you, you tell us all the time. But they're just not, I don't think they're equipped to even do that level of enforcement, because you just don't know what you're gonna confront. You could confront someone that's gonna be hella cordial, and then sometimes you're gonna confront somebody that's gonna be the entire opposite. So I think it's a matter of, providing that enforcement, that there are spaces for people to consume, but also spaces for people who don't want to consume, so that we can all sort of live together. So Mark, I'm sorry.
So two things I've been listening to, and one of the things that struck me is about education. So Anicia, my colleague here, had a really good flyer explaining the impacts of cannabis. Just this is a suggestion. It'd be great to have flyers like this in your store, just so that if you do education, it would be great to do it in the store. That's one comment. The second, more of a question, is we said there's a 3-ounce limit. So right now, there are 3 other stores that have applied. So what would stop anybody from going to your store, getting a 3 ounces, going get 10 blocks away and get another 3 ounces? Or is that being controlled by the state?
I believe, and David, I don't know if you can hear, if I'm incorrect, and I will validate this, I believe it is, again, the point of sale systems are tracked by New York State. So
See, I was at a seminar and I think they talked about this morning.
Yeah, everything from you would think this is from every minuscule little tiny pebble speck of cannabis that moves from one place to another to its finishing place is tracked meticulously. The sales are tracked meticulously. As us having run the businesses, you have to account for it to the umpteenth number. So that is also part of what's so important here. And you mentioned a couple of times about people getting from illegal shops and people smoking. The thing is, Mark, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I answered the question. If anyone else had questions before I go
Yeah,
off on a
Marcel.
tangent.
One last question from Marcel. Anyone else? Okay, so Marcel will be our last question, and then we will move on to deliberating.
Can you tell me a little bit about if there is any diversity in the ownership of the organization or company?
Diversity in the ownership, so it is 3 gentlemen of different, there is 3 gentlemen of different backgrounds and different religions and different beliefs, but that is the kind of the diverse makeup, and is a good question.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. You've been so kind to answer everything. Yeah. Do you have questions? Do you have any questions for us?
No. I don't. Is it okay if I make a quick 2-second statement or comment?
Yeah.
So first, we are thrilled. We were guinea pigs. We hope it was it worked out well. But we want to thank everyone for allowing us the opportunity to come speak in front of you. This was wonderful. We appreciate the questions, every single one of them. I think they were great. This is a great learning process where we hope to become a part of this wonderful community. And again, it was just a pleasure speaking with all of you. We hope we answered all of the questions. I do want to apologize for David for not being here in person. He did have a trip booked. But he did dial in. But again, if there's anything else we can answer, please let us know. And again, just thank you for the opportunity to apply to this community.
Yes, and on November 8th, when you come, I'm sure, we have about a 42, 45 person board, so I'm sure there will be some additional questions. I can almost guarantee it. But we'll do our best. And then this committee's gonna deliberate once y'all head on home, and then, they'll come up with their recommendations to the board, and then it could get a little altered based on that discussion, but,
Perfect.
okay?
And I'm sorry, just one other thing, and again, just so everyone understands, it is legal in New York State, and it is coming to towns and communities. And from our view, obviously slightly biased, we feel it's really important to work with people that have been there and done that this is not, hey, we're gonna try this and see if it works. We currently, fortunately, have been very successful in a number of states. We have followed all the rules and laws and continue to plan to do so in this state. And again, I think, going back all the way to the beginning, I think for the most important part here, when it does become new in a state, the most important part of the thing is education. And that is something 100% we're committed to. So with that, again, I do appreciate the time and allowing us to speak with you tonight. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, and I will, do you want me to email the follow-ups?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
and
you
just
can
so I wanna make sure, so I don't forget, before November 8th, we're gonna confirm about the passport ID scanning.
Yeah.
New York City ID, we confirmed where it has the barcode that will scan.
Mhm.
We will talk about, the security, and then the GMOs. And then, again, the offer on our end is if you are able to get school board approvals, we will also be willing to participate in that also.
Yeah, and
So-
that would be a bigger beast, cause that would have to.
Yeah, no, that's not solved in a 10-minute conversation. I'm quite, apologies, I did
Yes,
not
thank
write
you.
that down, that would.
Honestly, it's hard to get into schools, as Heather would tell you. Very hard to get into schools. I'm with the Fire Social Suite team, and we've been able to get into a couple of schools, but it's challenging because, they have their own little fiefdoms.
Yeah.
Of course, so, but it would be wonderful, I think, it would be a great educational activity. We do stuff on climate change, so that's what we're going to go with the schools about.
A little more friendly with drug use.
This stuff is great, and I took some time. Speaking of getting hard, my son is in the process of trying to go to college. That is another, talking about getting hard into schools also, so I'm,
You have a graduating senior?
yeah.
I have two.